they can't function. And so Mike talks about the disease of addiction on a subtle level. So just as we have addictions on a physical level, what are some of the addictions we have on an emotional level? So one of the common things is, we're always seeking approval. We may be seeking acknowledgement from others. We're always seeking respect. If somebody doesn't greet me at work, how do I feel? If someone doesn't smile at me, maybe I get upset. If my friend doesn't check in with me, I wonder what's going on. So on a subtle level, it's good to check and see if there are these needs that are there. And it's here again, not to judge myself and be hard on myself. It's to accept that, these feelings come. And it's good, when there's a feeling of being rejected, of being hurt, sometimes a feeling of being abandoned. Any sort of pain on an emotional level is a very good signal for me. And Sister Denise was talking about pain. And so this pain, when it comes, and I see it, I choose to see it as a signal instead of denying it, then this is meditation in action. Because meditation is being aware of how I'm feeling in these moments. So when there's the feeling of pain, it's good to acknowledge the pain, be with the pain, and see why the pain has come. What has it come to show me? What has it come to teach me? And the common one is respect. From childhood, we are taught that we have to be the best. We taught competition. We taught to compare, we taught critical thinking. And so there's always this need to try and be better, which is not a bad thing, but it becomes an obsession or an addiction when we can't do without approval, acknowledgement. There's a craving to be seen, if what I wear, what I drive, I use things on an external level to try and validate myself. We're always looking for validation. And if I don't get it, then I get hurt. And so these are external things that we use to try and fill ourselves. And all this boils down to is the soul seeking love. When we want respect from others, when we want validation, it's a want. And the understanding and awareness is that the soul has everything it needs. But because we've forgotten that we are that love, that we are that joy, we start to look for it from the outside world. And so I try to get things to be happy. I crave attention from other people, respect from other people to fill myself with that happiness, fill myself with that love. I think all needs and wants, eventually, when you sit with yourself and you ask yourself, what is it that I want? You'll eventually see that we all want love. The need of every human being on this planet is love. And the lovely part about Raj Yoga is that we are love. We don't need it from the outside world. We don't need it from anyone. And so Mike uses a 3-step process today, and I hope you have pen and paper. So this is a three-step process on how you can set yourself free. So it's a little personal reflection and exercise. So please get yourself a pen and paper. And this is for yourself. So don't worry, don't feel shy. You don't have to share what you're going to write, but this is a reflection, and it's something that you can use now to go in and meet the pain while being in the company of good doctors, as Denise Ben said. So good company. And okay, so does everyone have pen and paper? So the first question: identify the last 3 occasions when you consciously sought the approval and or acceptance of another. Identify the last 3 occasions when you consciously sought the approval and or acceptance of another. So I'll give you about a minute or two. So it could have been this morning, it could have been last night, it could have been yesterday, it could have been many years ago, many months ago, whenever. So identify for yourself the last 3 occasions when you consciously sought the approval and or acceptance of another. Okay, and the second question: why do you think you needed to get their approval, their acceptance, and their validation? Why do you think you needed to get their approval, their acceptance, and or their validation? So why do you think you needed to get their approval, their acceptance, or their validation? Okay, and the third question. Imagine you no longer needed their approval or acceptance. How would you feel? What would your attitude feel like? And what would your behavior look like? Imagine you no longer needed their approval or acceptance. How would you feel? What would your attitude feel like and your behavior look like? So, question 3. So, the last question. Imagine you no longer needed their approval or acceptance. How would you feel? What would your attitude feel like and your behavior look like? So there's 3 parts to the last question. Imagine you no longer needed their approval or acceptance. How would you feel? What would your attitude feel like and your behavior look like? So I'll type it in the chat box. Okay, so I hope this is useful to you, and you may require more time, but for now we will have to stop the session, but please feel free to continue with your journaling. Is there anybody who would like to share? Anybody would like to comment? Is there any realizations anybody had? Please feel free to unmute, or you can write it in the chat box. So 3 questions. Identify the last 3 occasions when you consciously sought the approval or acceptance of another. And 2 is, why do you think you needed to get the approval or validation? And 3, imagine you no longer needed their approval or acceptance.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. I just want to share my experience, and which is a true experience. And with number 1, what I identified, I just share one of them, is that my children, when they don't ask me how I feel after I reported to them that I am not well and I'm going to see the doctor, when I come back, no response, no, mommy, how could you go? And yeah, and and why do I do I think I need their approval or acceptance or their validation? And I realized that it is because I want to be connected with them, and I feel neglected and alone without it. And to me, it will show that they care for me and my well-being as their parent. And it gives me the feelings of being heard and wanted, and yes, and it's like I'm an obstacle to their lives, and I feel alone. And to the extent that what comes into my mind is like they don't need me anymore, and it's like they're saying, when is she going to die, this one? You know, it went deep to the, yeah, and I felt it. And yeah, just now I am feeling that. And the last question that says, imagine that you are no longer needing their approval or acceptance. And how would I feel? What will be my attitude? Okay. And my feeling would be, you know, free from my expectation. You know, if I take that route, I realize, and my attitude would be peaceful, because I'm not having any expectation and having to have lots of self-talk. Negative self-talk will diminish in a way, and my behavior would be actually unconditional love. I would love them even if they, you know, they didn't say. I don't even know that, you know, it's true that they did not, maybe they forgot to even say it, that, you know, they're, you know, connected with their own life, their little lives, and I come now and put all these accusations. And as I was looking at the attitude part, you know, it really, something came up, and what came up is I don't know if you know the prayer of Saint Francis that says, God, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is despair, hope. Where is darkness, light. And what I like most about that prayer is the fact that it says here, God, grant that I may not so much seek to be understood as to understand, to be loving as to love, and to be given as to give. For it is in dying that we receive, we receive life. And this processed me, actually. I feel, yes, I feel a shift in those things that I've been taking in my mind, and negative thoughts and putting a whole lot of energy is unnecessary. It actually showed me that it is unnecessary. And thank you so much for this. It's really, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Seja, a very personal and very deep, your feelings, and you've actually, exposed yourself. And that's very, very brave and very courageous. And it's so beautiful how, you've lifted yourself out of those feelings. And yes, it's true, there's nothing wrong with wanting your family, your children to ask how you are. It's a natural feeling. But life is such today that we are all just, like you said, everyone's just caught up in their own world. And sometimes, maybe something happened, maybe they were just caught up with something. We don't know, but we make assumptions. But the beauty is that when we step back and say, okay, there could have been a reason, and yes, I wanted, it's not a bad thing to want others to care for us, but it's also important to realize that the world has changed, life has changed. So much is happening on a daily basis, and everyone is tired, everyone is empty. Souls have so much to deal with, so much. We don't have energy basically anymore. And it all comes back to, at the end of the day, and this may sound harsh, but at the end of the day, all I have is myself. And it almost sounds frightening, but the beauty is the soul, myself, and this is where Raj Yoga is so beautiful, is that I'm not alone. I, the soul, have so much potential, so much love. And I liked how, I know that prayer of St. Francis very well because we used to sing it in music class when we were in school. And I'm so glad you brought it up because Mike talks about giving away that which you want. And so when I want respect and love, he says, show more respect, show more love. If people are not celebrating your wins and your successes, it's okay. Celebrate theirs. If they're not giving you respect, it's okay. Give them respect. And I know for me, I've actually been using it recently as like a challenge or test for myself. So whenever I greet anyone and they don't greet me back, initially, like many years ago, I would think, oh, how rude. And now I say to myself, excellent. Ashina, how did you feel? Did you have a feeling? Did your feelings change? So I tell myself it's all a booby trap to test your soul consciousness. So that's my homework at the moment for myself, is when I don't get the attention or respect or whatever it is, I say to myself, Ashina, what is it that you want? Because the moment we attempt to take anything from this external world, I'm going against the law of myself. And who I am is extremely precious. You know, the soul is extremely precious, extremely valuable. And yes, we've been through a journey, a long journey, and lots has happened on our journey. And like Denise Ben was saying, a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of bad experiences have made us hard. And so this journey of meditation is beginning to unfold and release the pain. And using, I would say the biggest secret is to know the Supreme. And we can take whatever support we need. The Supreme is there for us. And when we release the pain, we're in a safe environment of this one that cares for us unconditionally, wants us to release this pain so that we can experience joy in our lives again and joy in this drama of life, and no matter what the challenges are. And so, yes, this exercise is something that you can use on a daily basis for yourself. It's lovely to use before you go to bed at night, to see where you are at. And yes, if the pain is there and it can't be resolved quickly, it's okay. It may even take a few days to try and figure out. But the important thing is to remind yourself of the love that you are and God's unconditional love for each of us. That support is always there, and there's no judgment whatsoever. The Supreme Soul only sees the best, only sees the jewel, only sees the diamond. And so we have to, our vision has to meet his vision. So our vision of ourselves is here. The Supreme Soul's vision of us is here. And so we need to bring our vision up there. So I'm just looking at the time. We are running out of time. So I will stop there for now. Please continue thinking about these questions and using them as tools in your life. So I see there's a comment. For me, it's not so much needing validation, but maintaining a peaceful relationship with my siblings. I'm the eldest in my family, and I have always been taught to look out for them. I want a peaceful civil relationship with them because they have children. I want a peaceful relationship with them because they have children. And I want to be allowed to have a relationship with them, mentor, nurture, and support them, etc. Like you said earlier, encourage them without teaching to be competitive, because sometimes it leads to jealousy. I am on a different path, and I feel what I'm learning can make a whole difference in their lives. We love you, sister. Children don't know other homes are the same as well. You're not alone. So Nir was replying to you, Seja. So yes, all of us are in these situations. So nobody's life is perfect at this time. So yes, we are all in this together, but it's so beautiful. We have the tools now to liberate ourselves from pain, and we can do it ourselves. So this question from Nana Ahmed. Yes, it's true about wanting to encourage and motivate others, but I feel for myself, it's not about saying, it's about being. When people begin to see the change in me, then they are touched. Because when we begin to tap into the awareness of soul and the qualities, it creates a vibration around us that penetrates into the atmosphere of wherever we are, whether it's our homes, whether it's at work. And then this vibration is so powerful, it can travel around the globe, actually. So connecting with the self, reminding myself I am a soul, and connecting with the Supreme is the highest form of service we can do. So even though others may not be aware of it. It's incognito, it's invisible, it's subtle. The benefits are definitely there. So continue with that, and you begin to see others beginning to shift, and they'll ask you questions. They'll want to know more. So we don't have to force what we know onto others. We have to use what we know to change ourselves. It's like Gandhi says, when I change, then the world changes. Okay. A new message. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. Sorry about the time. I hope you enjoyed the session, and please continue with these questions, and we will see you on Monday. Okay, Maseke, not asking anyone's approval is so liberating for one. One becomes oneself truly. It is not easy, though it's learnable. It helps one to be comfortable in one's skin. Thank you for the tools. Yes, it is very liberating to be in a space where I don't need approval, and it's not easy, but it's possible. So thank you very much. And we'll end off with the minute of silence. So sitting comfortably, being aware of the soul that I am, a point of pure light, and I connect with my supreme source, the supreme parent, and I draw power and love, and my heart is healed and filled with joy. And I come back to the awareness of the body, ready to go out into the world. Om Shanti.